Now, if you're like me, you're probably watching all of the realized prices on antique and vintage Halloween and thinking, what the heck is going on? And of course, there are all kinds of variables that can go into a particular niche in the collecting market. Now, of course, I refer to antique, old, vintage Halloween as niche. It's not as big as Christmas. It's not as robust as baseball, and clearly doesn't have as many pieces available like antique furniture, but it is robust. It is clearly robust. I thought it might be kind of fun for us to take just a moment and look at some of the most expensive vintage or antique Halloween pieces that have ever sold. So here is a quick guide to the top 10 most expensive, at least in the last 10 years, Halloween collectibles that have occurred, that have hammered. You might be wondering, where in the world are we going to get this list from? And of course, I'll tell you that we're using our own system over on oldhalloween.com, where we go back and look at the records and we make a determination based on realized prices on venues such as eBay and auction sites. And we already have a post that's titled The Most Expensive Old Halloween Collectibles Ever Sold on eBay, that you can go and look at anytime you want to, again, at oldhalloween.com. And that, my friends, is where you can find this information. Okay, onward to the top 10 most expensive antique Halloween collectibles ever to sell, at least in the last 10 years. Here we go. The 10th spot, which is currently ranked 7th on our little list here, is a September 13, 2021 sale of a German antique Halloween embossed die-cut trifold. It's a fireplace screen, folks. I'm sure you have seen these, or maybe you have just sort of looked at these as you perused a number of different guides. This is a really interesting, very large, very detailed, also very delicate die cut. It's fantastic. And of course, you can just imagine, we don't own one. I missed out on one. I was so busy. I missed out on buying one this year within 40 miles of my house. Can you believe it? It's incredible. They don't come around very often. This one sold for $6,800, actually $6,850. Again, back in 2021. That is number 10. Let's figure out number 9. What could number 9 be? My guess is when we brought this list up, or at least the idea up, that at least one or two images popped in your head almost immediately. And my guess is this may very well have been one of those images. Number 9 for our list today is a museum quality parade jack-o'-lantern. Most likely you have seen this either online, perhaps a Facebook group you're in, or maybe in the guide. This is a really well-known, incredibly scarce parade jack-o'-lantern. It is composition. In this case, you can see it has some kind of wash on it. This brought $6,913 back in September of 2020, and it is a fine piece. It is a glorious piece. It's absolutely gorgeous. I would love to have one of these. My guess is you would love to have one of these. And my understanding is that there are a couple of these that circulate, and they do show up in some of the holiday shows, so be watching for it. But this was a fantastic pickup, even at that price, back in 2020. All right, number 8. All right, number 8 is probably another one of those images you had in your head. You probably were thinking, I bet it was one of those metal Toledo lanterns. And if that was in your mind, you are 100% right. This is a fantastic piece that sold for $7,100 in October of 2020. And it is a very good looking pumpkin parade lantern, a very good looking Toledo lantern. And it looks like, just looking at this particular image, that the bail looks good. Of course, you never know if the actual stick that it's on is original or not. Actually, there are a couple of ways to tell, but from pictures you can't usually tell. But this looks to be in very good shape. There's not a lot of oxidation. I wish we had additional pictures. This is what the one picture I could find of it, to see if they open it up and show us what the internals look like, to see if the holder was there. But this also has the color, and sometimes they don't have the color on them. If you were to flip it up and look at the color, you would actually see Toledo and probably something like 1903 or some such actually stamped into the color piece right here. So absolutely fantastic piece. Number 7 is a clockwork pumpkin figure. In this case, a clockwork pumpkin headman. You'll see, shows up in the list here, $7,800 September of 2020, 21 inches tall, and I have heard through the grapevine that there are only a handful of these clockwork pieces that exist in private collections and a few in museums, and they are always highly sought after. My guess is also that this is probably a very decent price for one of these incredibly rare pieces. Oh, number 6 is fantastic. Of course, all top 10 items here are fantastic, but this is the number 6 piece. It sold for $7,965.99, October of 2022. It is the Horrible Witch, but it's the crepe skirt or the honeycomb skirt version of the Horrible Witch, and this one looks like it was in fantastic shape. So again, October 2022, this is the Horrible Witch decoration with the crepe skirt or the honeycomb. It's referred to in both ways sometimes, but it was a fantastic buy for someone to get what is a very unusual, very difficult piece. And of course, I also like the fact that it's both black and orange in terms of the skirt. Makes it look fantastic for the season, don't you think? Number five. Of course, we couldn't get away without showing a devil. Number 5 is a devil. It was also sold September of 2020 for $5,166.60. An early vintage German composition devil, Halloween jack-o'-lantern. And I don't know if you want to say the chins have it or some such, but look at the length of the chin. Love the fact that the chin, the lengthy, very astute chin, sticks out and complements the nose as well. But this is a fantastic lantern, a glorious lantern, and clearly one that would be the centerpiece for your collection. All right, as we get to number 4, I just want to call attention to the fact that we've primarily been looking at hammer prices and realized prices off of eBay. And that's where most of our data comes from, although we are pulling from a few auction houses as well. We're going to look at the top 3 in just a couple of minutes, being drawn from or coming from a very well-known auction house that has some of the most incredible Halloween every so often, at least once or twice a year. It's fantastic. But this is number 4, and I will also preface number 3 and number 2 by saying there are a heck of a lot of witches out there that are superb, and our list has nothing on all of those available witches, but the list certainly is inclusive of a number of witches, and this is our number 4. It was a huge German witch candy container. It sold September of 2019 for $10,207.80, and she was absolutely glorious. In our list, you can certainly go in and see her along with what was in the listing, but love that tall hat. That is our number 4. Now on to number 3. Number 3 is also a witch, as I mentioned and prefaced. This was a witch that sold at Bertoya Auctions in November of 2018. It sold for $13,680. It is a witch sitting atop a black cat, and all of those combined that happens to be a candy container. Looking at it, looking at all the sides of it, it looks as if the black cat's head comes off as the lid of the candy container, but she is also absolutely fantastic. My guess is that a combination of these two pieces together certainly helped to elevate the final price. In addition, they're just so rare. The witch candy containers are so rare, but in this case, it adds additional whimsy because she happens to be riding on a very large, at least relative to her, scaled to her, black cat, and the black cat helps to contain the candy. All right, so that was our number 3. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is our top witch of our list. This is a witch also riding on top of a black cat. But here is the interesting thing about this particular witch on a black cat. You'll notice if I scroll and look down here that the black cat has wheels. That's right, that this witch on a black cat is actually on wheels and it could be pulled as a toy. It sold also at Bertoya Auctions in November of 2018 for $25,920, and it was labeled as Large Witch atop a black cat. This is our number 2 most expensive Halloween antique and vintage Halloween collectible on our list. Next is number 1. All right, so what is our number 1? Our number one most expensive item, Halloween, antique, vintage, Halloween collectible ever to be sold, at least in the last 10 years. Ever to be sold is this unassuming doorstop. So the year was 2006. The auction house was also Bertoya Auctions. And this doorstop showing a little girl in a ghost costume carrying a jack-o'-lantern sold for $72,800. Again at Bertoya, again 2006. And it is a fantastic piece, but I haven't seen it bring quite this price again in the past 15 plus years. It looks as if this might have been the peak for this piece, even though it is a fantastic piece. I would go out on a limb and guess that there might be a few of those witches out there that may very well beat out the Halloween Girl doorstop. It's still a really important piece of information to know. Fantastic, fantastic collectibles. I hope that you enjoyed all of our lists, our top 10 list. Please, please, please feel free to enjoy all of the items that we bookmark and that we share and that we comment on over on oldhalloween.com. And of course, if you want to see a longer list of those pieces that have brought very high prices, you can simply search for the most expensive old Halloween collectibles ever sold on eBay. That is a very long list, and I'm just scrolling right now, and it looks like we have 20 or 30 pieces on this list. And you can go in anytime you want to and give them a look, maybe have a conversation. You determine if you think that they are truly worth the value. I think that they are. But my guess is there might be a few pieces that might surprise you just a smidge. I am Kurt Gilstrap for oldhalloween.com. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back in the very near future with some more great old Halloween for you and for us.